Hey everyone, Talina here, and today we're going to look at how to get a gold medal in the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds challenge mode. The first group that you'll encounter has 2 reanimated skeletons, which do a nasty cleave, and a Shadowmoon Bone Mender. You're going to want to burn down the Bone Mender first, and make sure to interrupt her healing ability. Next we kill the patrolling Void Spawn. You need to make sure to interrupt his Void Pulse. Before the next pull, you're going to want to look left and right, see which side currently has the Void Spawn. Void Spawn is going to despawn every so often and appear at the other side. You want to make sure you choose a side that does not have the Void Spawn. So for this pull, you're going to want to target the Shadowmoon Loyalist. You want to keep her interrupted while AoEing down the Defiled Spirits. Once they are low, you can have your tank move ahead and pull the group of little spiders. When the group of spiders dies, make sure to dismiss any pets before you jump down the hole. And drag this next group of little spiders to the patrol in the hallway. This is just like the very first pull, except there is one more reanimated skeleton. Again, you're going to want to focus down the Bone Mender and make sure she is interrupted. The 2 patrolling Void Spawns that are here in Heroic are thankfully not here in the challenge mode version. The first boss is Sadana Bloodfury. She has the same mechanics as she does on Heroic. Make sure you don't step on any runes when you go to engage her. You're also going to want to use Heroism right away. She does an ability called Daggerfall. It does damage on impact and leaves a Void Zone. You're going to want to move out to avoid the initial impact and then stay away from the Void Zone. When she casts her Dark Communion ability, she summons a Defiled Spirit that will start moving towards the boss. You need to kill it before it reaches her. Remember, these spirits are stunnable. Her next ability is Dark Eclipse. When she casts this, you simply need to run over the white moon glyphs on the platform. Those will give you a shield that will mitigate most of the damage. This is a fairly simple boss, but there's a lot of AoE damage going around. Make sure to use your personal cooldowns to help your healer. This next group is probably one of the more difficult groups in the dungeon. The Enslavers do a nasty Void Slash ability that needs to be interrupted. We chose to lock this group down with stuns and focus the Enslavers one by one, while cleaving the subjugated souls. Your tank is probably going to need to use some major defensive cooldowns to get through this. next mob that you're going to encounter is a Shadowmoon Exhumer. They do an uninterruptible cast that will raise a spirit to fight alongside them. If you're able to stun the Exhumer before you aggro them, you can actually stop this ability. However, the next Exhumer has 2 spirits on either side. You're going to want to pull one of these spirits so that your group has space to move down the hallway. Go to enter the second boss's room, you're going to want to move directly to the right. If you follow this path around, you will not aggro an extra Exhumed Spirit. This boss has the same mechanics as the heroic version, and it's probably the easiest boss in the dungeon. The boss does a frontal cone ability, so have your tank faced away from the group. You are also going to want to have your ranged DPS spread around the room, but be careful. Don't get too close to the walls or the water, or you could aggro an Exhumed Spirit. When the boss uses his Vortex ability, you simply need to run out of it. The boss will use an ability called Soul Steal. This will create a copy of yourself which you will need to DPS down quickly. Try not to use any cooldowns on this because once it's dead and you've clicked on the portal, you're going to get a massive damage buff. The final ability that he'll cast is Void Devastation. He starts dropping void zones all over the room. They do a lot of damage, so make sure to move out of them quickly. This next group is also a difficult pull. There's a Shadowmoon Exhumer and 2 Shadowmoon Enslavers. There's also a patrolling Shadowmoon Exhumer that moves behind the group. We chose to have our Hunter crowd control that one, because we did not need it for our kill count. You are going to want to stun the Exhumer before the pull if you're able to, in order to stop them from raising a spirit. Next you will want to focus down the Enslavers and interrupt their rending Void Slash, while cleaving down everything else. You will probably need to use some major defensive cooldowns to get through this group. Group consists of 2 bats, a lot of little spiders, and 1 big spider. You want to cleave them down with the larger spider as your target. You will also want to keep the large spider interrupted as much as you can. If you have a Warlock in the group, you can place a gateway on the ledge. This will allow you to hop down and skip the 2 spiders at the bottom of the ramp. Make sure to dismiss any pets before you take this gateway. Once you have jumped down, you'll be fighting a carrion worm and several plague bats. The Carrion Worm will be your main target, but you want to cleave down the bats as quickly as you can as they apply a nasty snacking debuff on the tank. Once the first Carrion Worm is down, you'll want to move down the bridge and engage the second one, and make sure to avoid the big smashing ability. The third boss that you'll be facing is called Bonemaw. You'll want to have your tank position him to one side. He does an ability called Corpse Breath, which is a group-wide AoE. The boss is also going to spawn void zones periodically during this encounter. This will deal damage and slow your movement speed. The next ability is Inhale. I would recommend standing in one of the void zones on the ground. This will deal minimal damage to you, but you will not get sucked in by it. If you do happen to get sucked in by it, it is going to one-shot you. After he finishes casting Inhale, the two Carrion Worms that you fought on the bridge will now join the fight. They will all then do their Smash ability, which you are going to need to avoid. If you do get hit and happen to survive, you're going to find yourself thrown off the platform. You're going to want a ranged player to stand beside both of the little worms. This will prevent them from spitting damage all over the group. Don't bother DPSing down these Carrion Worms, just continue your focus on Bonemaw. At this point, our group chose to use our invisibility potions to skip by the bats and spiders, as we no longer needed them for our kill count. For this last pull, you'll be fighting two void spawns. You want to mark one and burn it down quickly. You also need to make sure to interrupt the void pulse that it casts. If both of these void spawns get their cast off at the same time, it's going to kill your group. The last boss is Ner'zhul. He is a fairly simple boss and has the same mechanics as he does on Heroic, but our group still really managed to screw it up at the end. You'll want to use Heroism right away and have your tank face the boss away, as he does a nasty frontal cone called Malevolence. He spawns void zones on the ground called Omen of Death. You'll want to stay as far away from these as possible. The further you are away from them, the less damage they will deal to you. When he summons Ritual of Bones, you will want to mark one of the skeletons and focus it down quickly so your group has a gap to go through. If you do get hit by this ability, it's going to one-shot you, as you will see later on in this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Please follow us on YouTube and head on over to our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/sigilgaming for our live streams.